records into the ground. I've worn them out and bought other ones. And I think this one, I don't know about all the beep beeps at the beginning. She's obviously trying to get away from her sort of sexy image. I like the Latin American beat that she has there. And I think because of who she is, I don't think it's as good as some of the things that she's done previously, but I think because of the fact that she is such a tremendous star and such a tremendous singer, I think it's probably going to do very well.
And it did.
Are you a dancer? I mean, do you actually dance for pleasure?
Dancer, a disco dancer? Yeah. I tramp around a bit.
I bet. Yes. Come to America.
Johnny Rotten.
God, that ain't the Donna Summers I know. I hate it. It's awful.
Where do you think she's changed?
It was mediocre.
But if it's not the Donna Summer that you knew,
I don't deserve no more comment than
that. Amen.
Thank you, Elaine.
I'm a real Donna Summer fan. I love and have loved I really don't feel this is her usual, up to her usual standard. The rhythm and all that's there. I mean, maybe it's good if it's loud and it's good to bop to, but actually with actual song
to bop to. They all talk ever so politely. It's good to bop to.
Bop at the bops. Bop at the bops.
I have a funny feeling of late that a lot of very worthwhile talents, and I think Donna Summer is one, are actually sacrificing their talent in order to be in vogue and make disco records. See, I think Donna Summer has a voice that, in fact, can give us far more than we get from making continual disco records. That's only my opinion. And I think that we're oversaturated with disco.
Thank you.
I know it's not going to go into a disco and dance and feel the rhythm, but I think we'll be pulverized by it. I think it should stop.
Ooh.
And I think that it's time we found something very, very different that is popular.
Sex Pistols.
I don't think it's a hit.
Right. Okay, so it
actually makes sense.
Mixed. A couple of thumbs down, quite definitely. Can I ask you, please, now to tell us whether you think it will be a hit or a miss?
Miss.
Three misses.
Well, it depends, doesn't it? It's going to be a hit anyway.
All right. Whoa.
Observation from Johnny.
So you get
all right, so there we go. So that gives you kind of an idea as far as what to expect on that one. Let me try to stop this thing. My goodness, stop. And stop. There we go. I would love to do something like that.
Yep.
We could, if you could pull it off, Helen. You could pull it off.
I know. And I shall. We shall.
Oh, God. I won't be the John Lydon. I promise to behave.
I don't want it to just be our music roundtable people, though. I want other people involved in it, you know?
Oh, yeah. It would be, well, there was an audience there. So it would be like, you know, people like Lauren Decker and Rick. And
I know exactly who I've already got in mind. So, you know, what I can do is I can show this back without me having to explain it.
Yeah. I mean, that would be tons of fun to pull that off. We all need
to get paddles, flappy paddles that say either hit or miss or play or pass. I haven't decided what we're going to make the pad. We'll have to have some kind of signage to put up. What is that squeak? What's my chair squeaking?
I don't hear any squeaking, so you're good. You're good. Hey, if you're just jumping into the room, you're like, God, what on earth is going on here? This is not Saturday Night Trivia because it is Sunday evening across the pond. It is Sunday afternoon here in the States. I'm Jim from the northwest suburbs of Chicago, joined by Radio Leggy, a.k.a. Helen Wallace, a.k.a. Helen on the Radio, a.k.a. hostess of Helen's Mixtape every Thursday.
Helen's Mixtape.
Hello, this is Midjua, and you're listening to Helen's Mixtape. All right, there we go. Poor Midge had a rough week from what I've seen. Oh, look, there's the mix. There it is. There is the actual mixtape.
Oh, my good God. It's back to front.
It's backwards. There we go.
Helen's
I felt bad.
Tape.
Oh, my God. That's like Dick Clark, American Bandstand saying, oh, they would rate the record. Remember that? Did they have they asked to do songs with the kids? So they would give it like a rating. It has a good beat. You could dance to it. Yeah. And then one time they had what do they have, Cheech and Chong on or something like that, and they came in, they had the Raider record thing, and they took a baseball bat and they like started smashing it, and they ruined the whole set. It was pretty funny. And Dick Clark's like, then they cut to a commercial. I think that's up on. I like the Plasmatics when Wendell Williams blew up a Chevy Nova during the Tomorrow Show with the late great Tom Snyder. That was even better. But you can't beat that. That's old school.
I just think watching that back, that clip that we just watched,
I never
everything
knew
is so twee, and it's so
Mhm.
very BBC.
Oh, very very structured.
Even in 1979, after punk,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got Johnny Lydon or Johnny Rotten, they were still calling himself Johnny Rotten then, on the panel, and it's still very twee and very prim and proper and very BBC. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
And
it's rubbish.
you didn't realize that at the time. It was cool at the time, but like when you're watching it back, you're like, wow, this is really twee.
Yeah, big time. I mean, Joan Collins was cutting edge for that show.
Johnny Lydon saying the word rubbish.
Yeah. Which back then was not exactly.
Put it this way, that's not what's probably going to get said when we do it. It'll be, it's right. Do you know what I mean? Like people will be more vernacular in there, but it's very, prim and proper when you watch it. You're
they
like,
wouldn't
wow.
play. BBC wouldn't play "God Save the Queen."
That's right. BBC had so many of the things banned.
Maybe they banned Frankie Goes to Hollywood's original version of Relax, 1985. They didn't show it on MTV here in the States, but they showed it on Night Flight, and they showed it on, there was another late night show that used to be on Video Space or something like that, where they showed the original video with this, with the strip club and the S&M and all of that kind of stuff going on.
That would have been shocking in America.
Yeah, over there. But yeah, MTV wouldn't show it. Yeah, and the only reason why MTV would start showing Michael Jackson videos in '83, because MTV was playing a bunch of white artists in the early 80s. I think Professor of the Old School was talking about this. I was
talking about it. I was talking about Herbie Hancock's Rocket and why they'd made it the way that they made it.
Yeah.
And it was Godlin Krem that directed it that way without him in the video. We had this conversation last time.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's another example. A great book, Richard Blade, who's on Sirius XM here in the States of satellite radio. He used to host a show called MV3. It was a syndicated music video show for people who didn't have cable back in the early 80s. And he was one of the three VJs. It was him, Karen Scott, and this other guy, David Maples. But basically, they're the only ones that would show Billie Jean. This is before Billie Jean was the first video. And that show's ratings went through the roof. MTV was starting to freak out. Michael Jackson's record label got hold of it. And they're like, they kept giving him world premieres. MTV didn't get the world premieres. They were too busy showing, Safety Dance for a 50 billionth time, or showing Dexy's Midnight Runners, or, showing, Olivia Newton-John or somebody, and it took something like that to shake things up. Unfortunately, the guy who was behind MV3 had some chemical substance issues in his life, and he could have really monopolized and knocked off MTV. Instead, he took all of that, got into his head and his nose, and the show tanked. And the Richard Blade book tells some really dark stories about those old music video days, too. I mean, there's no filter.
But the reason that MTV were playing mostly European and British artists back then is because it was only the Brits that were making videos.
Yep. Exactly.
All those early 80s, late 70s, early 80s pioneering synth bands, the New Romantics.
Yes.
Pretty much inventing music video. I know that I was going to say, Queen did the first music video, Bohemian Rhapsody. Yes, they did. It was an oddity. It wasn't the norm.
Right.
Music promotional clips were not the norm. It was not the done thing. The record labels didn't even pay for a promotional video to be made. The bands had to raise that money themselves. They'd go to, Midyear Tells a Story. He went to Chrysalis and said, we want to do this thing, specifically talking about the Vienna video.
Yep.
This is what it is. We've got Russell Mulcahy. This is what we're going to do. Blah, 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 blah. No. And it's an epic video. It's won awards. So they had to raise the funds for that themselves. Obviously, later further, I mean, I feel like again we're repeating ourselves because we had the same conversation last week.
Oh, it's okay.
But it became the norm to promote music in that way, but that wasn't the case back then. So when MTV first kicked off, there weren't any American artists actually making any videos.
Right.
Really, you know, when it first started,
No,
it was
nobody
all British bands that were making them.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like some kind of a live performance thing. And like here in the States, you had like the Midnight, especially at Don Kirshner's rock concert. You had, segments from the Tonight Show or Late Night with David Letterman, but these were all literally just people performing on a stage somewhere. It wasn't like a theme video.
Well, the budgets did start to get bigger and bigger, but it started
Yes.
off with bands like Visage, who were
Yes.
pioneering with Fade to Grey. You
Yes.
had Ultravox.
Yes.
You had Adamant.
Yep.
Or Adam and the Ants.
And
at the
the
time.
Ants, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was the Malcolm. Malcolm was behind a lot of that too. Malcolm McLaren.
Well, Malcolm McLaren had already stolen his band to form Bow Wow Wow at that point.
Wow, with Annabelle, right?
The Ant Music album had nothing to do with Malcolm McLaren, but the Burundi Beat thing, the Burundi Black did. That did. But that's what I'm saying. Those early 80s, we would call them New Romantics.
Right.
Those guys started music video. They did.
Yep.
That's where it stemmed from.
Yep.
And that's why when I'm talking about Rusty Egan or whatever, and it's hard to explain just how important he actually has been to everything that's come in the 40 years subsequently since Visage were a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not necessarily that they're well known for what they did with their own. I mean, obviously Visage were quite successful, but it's more about what came after that and what they pioneered and what other people took with and ran. How massive were Duran Duran? Duran Duran were huge in the States because of the medium of video and it being played on MTV. But they were like a second wave. Duran Duran were like the second wave. Planet Earth was kind of like 1981. They were coming 82, 81, 82, Rio.
Exactly.
But
Girls on Film was 81 also.
But don't forget, Visage and Vienna were 1980. Duran Duran were like the second wave of...
Yes. Yeah, because here in the States, Visage and Duran Duran did not even weren't even relevant yet.
That's what I'm saying. So they pioneered something and they started something and other people ran with it and it became a thing,
Yep. You were so spot on. That's exactly what happened because we were stuck listening to UFO and Van Halen and Rush and the Eagles and redundant classic rock. We were blowing up disco records, which was fine with me because I didn't like disco and I sure as heck can't dance. But you mentioned those two eras. Yes, the Visage and the early Duran Durans.
But you also had a new thing coming through as well, stemming from disco, right? And you're talking early hip hop. Now, I heard someone talking about early hip hop the other day, but what they didn't know actually was a lot of the beats that were used in early hip hop. I'm talking Grandmaster Flash. I'm talking Africa Bambaataa. Those were Kraftwerk tracks, right? Trans Europe Express from 1977, right? Has been sampled something like 7 to 8 times on hip hop records, right?
I believe it. Yeah.
So all of that new stuff and again, like Grandmaster Flash was 82. The message was 1982, so it's still early 80s. And all that stuff, actually, European electronica had a greater influence on the sound of those hip hop tracks than anything else because those were the beats that they were using. So again, when Rusty Egan's track got used by Africa Bambaataa, Wonder Worker, and it's been put on that Blitzed album that I was talking about when he did that documentary. But that was like, again, 82 or something. It was Rusty Egan's music that was used. So out of, again, what they did themselves, they pioneered what came after. And again, all that early hip hop stuff. So those from a tiny little club, the Blitz Club in London, having this like Bowie themed night where people could dress up and like be flamboyant and express themselves.
Why not?
All this other stuff came from that, and it would never have happened had they not existed. It's fascinating when you actually delve into the history of what's come in the past 40 years since that, it's had an influence on all of it.
Yes,
All
exactly.
of it.
And if we're at the top of the hour here, and if you're just jumping in, welcome to our Music Roundtable alongside Helen Wallace. I'm Jim from the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Thanking you for spending your Sunday with us here. We do this intermittently. We talk about the music industry, genres of music, music festivals, concerts, and other relevant things related to music, new music, music memories, so on and so forth. Most importantly, we want you to interact with us. So don't be bashful, don't be shy. Feel free to chat with us here. It is kind of an interactive thing, and we try to do this as much as we can. But Helen, you just touched on a whole bunch of great memories here, talking about the early 80s, talking about bands like Visage and bands like Duran Duran, and we talk about bands like Human League, innovators like Kraftwerk and Gary Newman, among others. And I heard Autobahn. That was the first Kraftwerk song I ever heard. I was a 9-year-old in 1974, and whenever I heard that song, for whatever reason, I always saw little snap-and pops that you used to throw on the sidewalks on the ground.
But when you listen to that track now,
yeah,
it doesn't sound like it was made in 1974. It sounds like it could have been produced last week.
Sounds very relevant, doesn't it?
And that's the same as all of Kraftwerk stuff. It sounds like it could have been produced last week. It's the same as we're listening to anything by Visage. It sounds like it could have been produced last week. Those sounds, those analog vintage synthesizers, the warmth that comes from even early Gary Newman stuff, it all sounds like what they're trying to reproduce now using soft synths or whatever. And to be fair, that technology is so advanced that it is very similar to the old original. It's not quite the same, but it's almost there. But those record-breaking tracks, those bands you're talking about, early Human League, even OMD, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, Visage for sure, Ultravox for me, even early Ultravox, pre-mature Ultravox with John Fox at the helm was a massive influence on Gary Newman. And a lot of people cite Gary Newman as an influence, but he had to be influenced by someone, and it was Ultravox. So again, had Ultravox not existed in their first form, Gary Newman wouldn't have done electronic music. He started off in a punk band, and a lot of electronic musicians were the same. They started off as a punk band,
right?
And they heard, Gary Newman's story is there's a Moog synthesizer in the corner of our studio. He presses a button and the whole room shakes, and he's like, "Wow, this is something." And he changes the whole format of the music that he's making because he hit a note on a keyboard that was set up to sound. Now, these things, there's so many different sounds you get from something like a Moog. It just so happened to be on that setting, and he was like, "Wow!" Like the whole thing, because it was so loud. So it just takes one little thing to change history. Like, how many people have cited Gary Newman as an influence?
Right.
I
mean, just seeing him live, I saw Gary Newman 4 years ago, and then he jumped on and played with Beck, and Beck was afterwards said that Gary Newman is without question one of the major influencers of my career, why I started doing live music. And I mean, so many people would echo what Beck said about Gary Newman. I mean, definitely revolutionary, I think is the first word that comes to mind.
Well, Gary Newman wasn't the first to do it, but he was the first to make it marketable, right? He got the look right. People would be like, is he human? Is he android? Is he real? He got that. He nailed that. So he wasn't
took it
the
to
first.
The next level.
OMD came first and Ultravox came first, but he nailed that. So he was good at marketing himself. But I mean, Gary Newman had major issues at the start. Back in the day, there was a program in the UK called Top of the Pops, and it was on every week on a Thursday.
I know that show.
Good. It was religious viewing for everybody every week. And even as a kid, Thursday night, I would sit and watch it.
Yeah.
The music union, they wouldn't let Gary Newman play.
Really?
Because he wasn't a member of the musicians union. And they wouldn't let him become a member of the musicians union because synthesizers weren't classed as instruments. So the argument by the musicians union was he was putting musicians out of business by using synthesizers. So he very nearly wasn't able to appear on Top of the Pops because he wasn't a member of the musicians union. Now, there was this mindset back then that synthesizers weren't real instruments. Oh, the computer does all the work for you.
Yeah.
It does all the work. Does it? Hell, have you ever seen an analog vintage synthesizer? especially if a monophonic one note at a time. No MIDI. None of those things communicated with each other. None of that technology communicated with each other. There was not until like maybe 1983 or 1982, there was no MIDI. So those instruments didn't actually talk to each other.
Right. It was all analog also.
It was all analog, and they had to like literally like you had technicians, mechanics building things to try and make these things so you could try to program it, and the drum machine would be out of time with this and whatever, because nothing actually, there was no interface, there was no MIDI. So for someone to say the computer does all the work for you and you put your musicians out of work, no, absolutely
there's no
not.
series circuitry to speak of.
But no, well, the thing is that it's, if anything, it was harder work. Have you ever taken an SS30 out and put it on a stage and it's been moved from a warm room to a cold room? It sizzles like a pan of bacon. You can't.
Yep.
It's so fragile. Do you know what I mean? It's hard work.
Yeah, try putting all that together and then try doing that live.
Exactly. Well, when Ultravox went on tour, they had to have 3 of everything. They had to have 3 SS30s, they had to have 3 CS80s. A CS80 synth is huge. It's like a coffin. It's massive. Big, heavy instrument. Bigger than me. They had to have 3 of them on tour. And then, whatever else, Billy's Art Odyssey or whatever. Like, just ridiculous. Now you put it in a Mac and you have an Ovation controller keyboard and the soft synths do all the sounds for you. And it wasn't like that back then,
No.
Big, heavy equipment.
Big time. No question about it. But
so I just went off on a geeky synth rant there. Everybody's like, what the fuck is a CS80? We don't know what that is. What are you talking about? I'm sorry.
This is the technical workshop portion. Wait till we do a whole episode dedicated to Moog synthesizers. Oh, we're going to take it to the next level. It's going to be a deep dive.
Everybody has something they're geeky about, Jim.
Oh,
and
my
mine just
God.
happens to be analog synthesizers.
Look no further than Heaven's Mixtape.
Most people are like, oh yeah, I like Marvel comics. Oh yeah, no, I prefer DC. Most people are like geeky about, like Star Wars or Star Trek, whatever. Mine just happens to be analog synthesizers.
Yeah, so I know.
It's very niche.
No question about it. If you guys are just jumping into the room, welcome to our Music Roundtable, along with Helen Wallace, Jimmy in Chicagoland here on a Sunday. Thanks for hanging out with us today. New music. I feel like I'm the professor right now. The professor of the old school's in here. He's off today, but he's usually one that kind of curates the questions. But I feel like just like we're kind of like both co-hosting that category.
I didn't even realize that we did ever curate any questions.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, is we're literally just winging this. We're doing just topical stuff here, but just out of curiosity, I mean, and as I had mentioned before, Helen does a really good job mixing up like the older tracks. We talked about Visage, we talked about Gary Newman, we talked about Duran Duran, we talked about these other bands. But new stuff, you showed us Little Slow Readers Club on vinyl, by the way. You mentioned Empathy Test, and they are opening for who again? They're with who are they
They're headlining.
I think with someone else that you shared.
Night.
What's the opening band?
Night. A band called Night. NITE from Texas.
Tell us about them.
So Night are the support band, and I had I think it was last year. It might have been the year before, but I'm pretty sure it was last year. Every year I do tracks of the year. So when I'm listening to new stuff all the way through the year, I'm like, I really like this track. I've played it multiple times. This is one of my favorites this year, and that'll go in a list. And then at the end of the year, I'll do my favorite tracks of the year. And Night, one of the tracks happened to be this band Night. So it turns out Empathy Test, who I bang on about every week on Helen's Mixtape,
3 songs in a row,
3 back to back because they're so good.
Yes.
So it just so happens that Night are opening for Empathy Test all over the States. I would highly recommend, if you're in America, highly recommend getting yourself onto Empathy Test's website and checking out where the tickets are. These guys are unsigned bands, right? So this is like, it's not like a big, nation, Live Nation, pay 50 quid a ticket kind of thing, right? This is a bargain for what you're going to see. And trust me, these guys should be much bigger than they actually are. Take my word on this. Empathy Test they actually should be, if they were to get some kind of opening slot for a big band like Depeche Mode or, Human League, or if they were to be opening up for someone bigger, they would be much better known. And that's what they need. They need to be better known. So if you like new music and if you like electronica, and it's not like industrial. It's not like I mean, Isaac's songwriting is very melodic. Actually, the guy's a lyrical genius. When you listen to his it's not just like, oh, let's put some German sounding vocals over a synth track like a million other synth bands. This is quality songwriting over which happens to be over a synth orientated bass. But there's stuff, I mean, I love Empathy Test. I cannot emphasize how much they should be better known. So if you're in America and if you get the chance and Empathy Test are playing in a city near you, Night are worth checking out as well. I'm not as familiar with as much of Night's work.
Okay.
But I did have one of their tracks as my track of the year. So, you know, they're decent. I wouldn't have done that if they weren't.
Yeah.
Go and check them out. And like, I don't know how much tickets are. I haven't actually checked Empathy Test's website.
Right. What's kind of interesting is that I'm going to black our cameras out here really quick. I don't know if I can do this or not. Ooh, mine disappears conveniently.
In fact, you need me to I can do mine. Here we go. Oh, where did you go, Jim?
I'm back. I'm just going to black my camera out too, because I'm going to show you this lineup right here. Cold Waves 10 is a music festival that plays through Chicago. Reunions with bands like Front 242, Nitzareb. The Cox are playing again. And then I don't know any of these bands until I get to Empathy Test.
Okay, so before you hit Empathy Test,
there's Rain.
Covenant are well known, although it's not really something that I play on my show. But actors. Okay. So see how you've got actors.
Okay. Yes.
They're very much definitely worth seeing.
Okay.
Empathy Test, definitely very worth seeing.
Okay.
Leathers. I've been playing a lot of Leathers tracks recently on Helen's mixtape. It's a female band. Her vocals are great. Really like Leathers at the moment. They're worth seeing.
Got it.
So there's at least 3 bands, and Andy Harriman's well known, but again, I don't really play her stuff. So there are at least 3 bands that are definitely if I was buying tickets personally to buy, you know, to go to a gig, I would buy individual tickets to each of those bands. So the fact that they're all on one bill is definitely worth investigating.
I think what should be emphasized here, it says September 22nd to the 25th here in Chicago. I believe these are at different venues. This isn't like, unfortunately, it's not like a festival. I was kind of hoping it would be.
Right.
Riot Fest started out this way, though. They got these bands into different venues. You know, different. I think Empathy Test is playing at a place called Metro, which to me is a very outstanding venue to see a performance live, and it's my favorite indoor club to see a band. So,
who else is on the bill at the same time as Empathy Test?
See, I haven't looked at the times. I think there will be some cool overlaps for these. This is just a general overview as far as what Cold Waves has booked, but I have to check and see when they're playing.
Okay,
so
well, those are the 3 that stand out for me: Actors, Empathy Test, Leathers. Those are the 3 that stand out for me.
All right, I'm writing this down. If I can get around to.
Yeah,
I'm broke. I have no money right now.
If they all happen to be in the same place at the same time, that would be even better, obviously. But those are the 3 that I would, if I had to go buy tickets, even individually, and they weren't on the same bill, those are the 3 bands I would pick out. Okay,
because I will definitely. But and I've always been curious about seeing, the return of Ogre with Nitzareb, but we'll see what comes about it with everything.
Uh-oh.
Where am I? There we go.
Technical
workshop going on.
There he is.
Full screen on you now. I'm learning something new every day with Restream.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. So those are the bands I would definitely want to check out. Since I got you here, let's just improvise. I'm just going to Google Empathy Test Chicago and see where they're playing. I'm hoping it's the Metro. I'm hoping it's at Metro. Let's see. It is Metro. Let me share the screen here. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum,
and where are Leathers and Actors playing?
Let me see. I'll share this first. Here we go.
Okay.
Let me see if I can share this. Oh, yeah. There we go. There's Empathy Test.
So how much
right there. But, Friday I work question is if I can get out of work early. Plus, we have
It says event lineup. Does that mean that they're all in the same event? Scroll it down. Sorry.
Oh no, we got all these pop-up ads in here. Bloody.
All right. Okay. So it's hard
Metro
to know.
and Smart Bar extremely because Smart Bar is downstairs, and it's
So-
Wrigley Field. Literally, if you
So we
see
don't know. So we don't know how much the tickets are.
not yet. I'll go find out. Stand by.
Oh. Dun dun dun.
Let's see. Let's go inside the numbers. Let's click, and it's it's right near Wrigley Field where the Cubs play baseball. E-ticks. Let's find out here. Let's go inside the numbers. Metro. Wow. So it's Cold Cave. Cold Cave is exceptional. Oh my God. Have you ever seen Cold Cave?
No.
Oh my God. Just do Spotify or YouTube or whatever. Those guys I've seen twice. It's just good old-fashioned darkness. They're all in black. It was like 100 degrees out there, out in the middle of the sun, and they made it dark. It was that good. That's my kind of show. And I'm like the guy that dresses up really preppy at these shows because people they freak out when they see me. They're like, what's he doing here? $44 US.
Okay, so it's probably about
That's about par for
38 quid. Yeah. Well, for how many bands you're getting to see, that's not bad.
For 5 bands, yeah. And I don't
Yeah.
know these. I only know Cold Cave and Empathy Test. And Kite is also on that Cold Waves thing. I didn't know Cold Cave was a part of this. I'm going to have to tell my friends in the city who will definitely want to go to this. Don't know Ghost Feeder or Spike Hellis or Rare DM, but who cares? I mean, that's how you expose yourself to new music.
Now, that's part of a festival, but most of the dates that Empathy Test are doing is their own tour being supported by Night. So I would expect those tickets to be cheaper than festival tickets as well. So it's worth, if people, are interested, I would honestly check out and see if they're playing near you and find out.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally right near Wrigley Field. It's like 3 blocks northwest. For me, it's about an hour drive, and it means that beer consumption will be limited, unfortunately, unless I can get someone to drive me or somebody pick me up at the train station or something.
You need a designated driver. That's what you need.
Beer makes the concert experience great. A suit and tie, no. Far from it. No, they were all in black. Matter of fact, I wish I had my old computer because I would be able to share.
You sound like my kind of people, This is nobody's even noticed this is an oddity, and normally I'm in black or black. I'm actually wearing.
I was just gonna say, I just noticed that you're in red. I mean, I'm so like,
and that's never the case. I'm always in black. So
talking to you, it's like, because I'm just like instantly I go into music mode. I don't even notice what you're wearing. I'm like, okay, she's gonna talk music. I need to get all this in within 2 hours. Because we have crap to do here.
Because we can sit here for 6.
You could be wearing electrical tape. I'd be like, okay, so what's the story with this band? Tell me about it. I mean, I got a lot of all this. Like I put in my Twitter feed the other day. I said all these ideas in my head, all these things in my head. I need a place to put them. And so finally, it's like we finally get to talk about this crap. So, but I didn't realize until you told me to go look to see where the tickets were. I didn't even know Cold Cave wasn't even on that list. I just showed that the one I first put up, they weren't even on there.
So there you go. You've learned something.
Oh, Cold Cave on top of it, double win. Thing is, I got to get there bloody early. Well, the good news is it says doors open at 6 p.m. Bad news is that I would imagine Cold Cave will be on like at 1 a.m. because it's a 4 a.m. bar.
Well, unless they're doing like a disco or something. So if it's doors for 6.
First gig at 7.
Probably 7. I don't know how long. I was going to say if it'll be a 45-minute or an hour-long set.
Yeah.
Depending on where they are on the slot,
I'll show that list again here. Here we go. Here's the lineup again. Oh, hold on. Not ready to buy tickets? No. Unless people
when it's a mixed bill like that, you normally don't get as high as a 90-minute set, even from a headliner. It's probably an hour.
True. 45 for Rare DM, 45 for Ghost Feeder and Spike Allison, and Empathy will probably get like an hour, maybe hour 50. Yeah. And then Cold Cave gets the full whatever. We'll see how I feel. Hey, Nancy. Good morning or good afternoon, rather. Nancy in Wisconsin is definitely a noted music junkie like us. And she brings back memories of the 70s when I was a child. And Nancy was at Summerfest in Milwaukee when Sly and the Family Stone
She
didn't
would
show.
have absolutely loved that clip that we showed earlier.
Oh, she would have got a kick out of that. She'll have to watch the replay.
Yep.
That is definitely something up Nancy's alley. She was there when they rioted at Summerfest in Milwaukee after Sly and the Family Stone didn't show up. She helped, and there was no. The event was free, and people brought everything to the festival. Everything. No, there was no limits. Not enough cops. It was crazy times back those days. But that's the gig. Cold Caves is going to be headlining Cold Waves. That I didn't even know about. Plus, got Empathy Test and Kite, who's also listed. So I'm excited. That is so cool.
Empathy Test are definitely worth seeing, even on their own. They're worth seeing. So
yeah.
that'll
But
be a good gig. Yeah.
I mean, that's like, and I have to learn a little bit more about Kite, and then Cold Cave. I know Cold Cave to an extent. I haven't seen them in, oh my God, several years. I wish I had a picture of them.
And you've been brainwashed with Empathy Test, so.
I was just going to say, courtesy of Helen's Mixtape.
Helen's Mixtape.
Right. And I just like how you just kind of and you're probably like, when you're doing your show live and you start doing those drops, you're like, somewhere in Chicago, Jim is just sitting there watching. Yes, I am.
But you did it so well, so it's fine.
It works. Got the old fish and reel. You're reeling in. You grab that Jimmy by, get the hook right in there. Come on, Jim.
Like I said, the funniest one was Badgie's kids. She sent me a video of the kids in the back of the car one day, and there's the two of them were going, Helen's Mixtape. And it was hilarious.
Have her kids do that drop in. Just do like one of those like little bumper, hi, we're Badger's kids. Listen, Helen's Mixtape. Or do both, their Helen's Mixtape and then the one that you already have in your system.
So they had it nailed, to be fair.
I'm looking for Cold Cave pictures. I don't think I have them. They might be on this computer. But we were earlier at the beginning, outside of the broadcast, we were talking about Bauhaus and Peter Murphy going into rehabilitation, unfortunately, at the age of 65. And that kind of put a dent into this little festival that I'm going to in a couple of weeks. But were there bands prior to the pandemic, pandemic doesn't count here, that you were anxious to see that canceled abruptly with little or no notice?
Yes, that's happened a couple of times. Specifically, I mean, obviously we're not going to count the pandemic when I was in Perth in Australia, and Midge's last, gig happened to be the one that I was going to be at in Perth, and he managed to do the whole Australian tour. We're not going to mention that because I'm totally over it.
I know.
Can you tell how over it I am? No, OMD. Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark were doing the English Electric Tour 2013.
Okay.
And I photographed the Glasgow gig at the Glasgow concert halls, and then literally a couple of gigs later, Mal, the drummer, had a heart attack, and the whole tour had to be cancelled. So there were a lot of people who obviously weren't able to, see that.
Right.
And I remember way back, oh God, when would it have been? It was a long time ago, early 2000s maybe. Adamant was headlining one of those Here and Now tours. Do you remember the Here and Now tours? It used to be like all the 80s mixed bill,
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Last time it came through here was 95, I think.
Yeah, no, well, this is later than this. This is maybe, because Here and Now would have kicked off maybe about then, early 2000s. Maybe 2001, 2002, something like that. Right. Adamant was headlining it, and it was in Glasgow at the Armadillo, which is the big SEC, it's the big stadium thing. And he pulled out, but they didn't replace him. So it was ABC.
Oh, okay.
Who were the next? They were already on the bill, and they were like the slot below him.
Right.
And they ended up wrapping it up. Like, they didn't replace him or anything, and there was no way to get any. I think he was going through quite a lot of his mental health thing. How Adamant had a major issue with bipolar, and he threw a car engine through a window, and it was a big.
Oh, jeez.
It was a big fuss. There was a big lot of around about that kind of time where he was in a manic phase or whatever, he pulled out, and they weren't doing refunds, and they didn't replace him with anyone else. So that was a bit like meh. And it was meh because I only bought the ticket because I wanted to see Adam Ant live,
Right.
and I didn't get to see him.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself for not seeing him when I had the chance. It was 95, like when Wonderful came out and all of that, and never got around to it. I forgot why.
He's been touring this year. He's been touring, like, again, I still haven't been to see him, but he's been touring, like, more recently. But of course, he went quiet for a long time.
Yeah. So hopefully he's okay, but
That's true, Matthew. It is true. You're right. The numbers are up.
Yes, I stand corrected. I'm evil. I'm trying to get my other computer hooked up. I swear it was the middle of the afternoon, and
But as a
what?
caveat,
I have an idea. I think we have
as a caveat, just to what Jim's saying, although it's still happening, the gigs are back up and running for the most part, unless something
albeit,
goes wrong. So
so some still cancel. Not as many, but
what? Oh my goodness!
Meow.
My cat has an opinion on this. She has to get in on the action.
Bring the kid into the picture, and
Come on,
we'll
then. She's
we'll
going to
let
tell
you.
us all about. She's going to tell us all about music history.
Let's
All about what's happening. You're wet and soggy. You've just been out in the rain, haven't you? And now you've just soggified me. Thanks, cat. Yeah, you. This is high quality entertainment. Do you realise that you've been beamed all around the world on the internet? Yeah, you. Thanks for soaking me, by the way. I'm all soggy and hairy. Awesome. Right, Jim, could we take the full screen back off again, please? I feel really uncomfortable.
Oh, butt cam. We took that off right in time for the cat's butt cam.
Yes.
Eddie's. Fast Eddie's in the room. Eddie, how are you, buddy? What's going on? Eddie was one that introduced me to the amazing Phil Luna, an outstanding broadcaster. Nancy, I'm so sorry I missed out on comments. Oh, Nancy on this date 58 years ago saw the Beatles. Was it at County Stadium, Nancy, or was it over at Sox Park?
Would Nancy like to come in and tell us about it?
Yeah, Nancy, you want to jump on? We can invite you in.
That would be nice.
We'd love to have you.
Because we haven't had Nancy on a round table.
We'd love to have you on, Nance. And how have you been, Eddie? Hope you're doing good, my friend. What's going on? It was over at the arena. Oh my goodness, the Mecca on the west side of Milwaukee. How cool is that? I didn't realize that was 58 years ago today. Wish I could put you're making an apple pie. That's okay.
You know what? We understand the priority. We understand. I mean, I would make apple pie priority as well, to be fair. I totally would.
With all due respect to Helen and to you guys, I would rather be eating an apple pie right now. Or I'd rather be over at an undisclosed location in the western suburbs of Chicago, blastfully Naperville, enjoying a lot of good beer from Solomouth Brewing Company.
But would we be having the apple pie, warm apple pie, would we be having it with cream, ice cream, or custard?
That. Oh my God, I got to share some. I found some 11,000 people in attendance, and they are only on for 30 minutes. Oh my God. Well, all their songs were like 2 minutes long.
You want to leave me hanging here with this $1,000 question. Cream, ice cream, or custard?
Yes.
With the apple pie?
Both.
Everything.
I would take both. Custard sounds good, though. I would have to go with custard because I can get ice cream anytime.
Apple pie is lovely. But then cold ice cream with warm apple pie is nice as well.
True, but I can get ice cream anytime. Custard, I haven't had custard in God knows how long, and that sounds really good right now.
Nancy says custard. Custard it is then. That's all I needed to know.
So, you won me over. Very good. I'm going to share some pictures of some old music festivals. These are bands you may or may not know. This is from 11 years ago, and this is like the muddiest Pitchfork ever. Pitchfork Music Festival is a festival that happens every year over in Union Park in Chicago. And let me share some pictures here. This dude, here is this guy right here. There's a band called Das Racists. These guys were hysterical. I love these guys. These guys were, let me try if I can blow this up. There we go. You have to look at my stupid comments. Let me see if I can recognize some faces here. There's Nico Case. She is an occasional individual who's in, we go back, in a band called New Pornographers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very good. I saw them at Summerfest in Milwaukee back in July, and they were exceptional. I'm just going to cut through these. That, I believe, is that TV on the radio? Oh, this is Sufjan Stevens. I'm just going through all this stuff. I'm just trying to see if there's bands. Here's Kurt Weill. I don't know if you know Kurt Weill. He's kind of an American musician. There he is right there. Usually it rains whenever he plays. That's an exception. He actually played where it was nice out. There's Kurt Weill there. I don't know half of these bands anywhere. There's. Oh, here is Odd Future Wolfgang Kill 'Em All. Now you're like, who the heck are those? The guy who is on the right with the big crutch on his, or big cast on his right knee, that is Tyler, the Creator. Earl Sweatshirt is also in there. He played over at Pitchfork last year. Frank Ocean is in the middle in the back. So if you remember Frank Ocean, all these guys are doing good, and Tyler, the Creator, are all doing good solo now. But here they are taking turns doing their gig. And there's the Tyler, the Creator, with the whatchamacallit shirt on, the little tie-dye shirt. And there he is diving into the crowd. Oh, there he is with his cast.
Silly sausage.
Odd Gang Wolf Future Kill 'Em All. Super Chunk was there. I don't know what these guys are. Let me zoom in here. Hold on. Oh, here's TV on the radio. They're kind of big in the States. The camera sucked by then. It was really dark, and the lighting didn't really help matters.
You need a big lens, Jim. What's going on here with the camera?
This is called a camera from 2011. It started raining out, hence the blurry picture. But let me get out of this.
It's very atmospheric.
Let me get out of this and go to another year. I want to find Cold Cave for you. Hold on. Stand by. Why can I not get out of this? Oh, here we go. Stand by. Hold, please. Hold, please. I swear to God it was in here. Here we go. Add to story, add photos. These are all stupid Facebook pictures. This is how old this is. It's bloody Facebook. Hold on. I swear to God, this is... Oh, I'm so mad now because I could have had... Oh, here we go. 2012, we just did. 2013, Pitchfork. I'm just going to pick out random pictures. I don't know if you guys know of Angel Olsen. She's a female folk vocalist, rock vocalist. She played 2013, like at 12 in the afternoon. There are some other bands that I was trying to find that I cannot find. Oh, here's Killer Mike. Now you're like, who on earth is Killer Mike? Killer Mike is, of course, the lead singer and the or one of the vocalists from the band Run the Jewels. This is Killer Mike by himself in 2013, before Run the Jewels came out. Remember, you ever heard of the band called Run the Jewels?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's Killer Mike, and his buddy LP is like his producer. But this is back when Killer Mike was solo. This is before Run the Jewels. So after his set came LP, and look who's on the stage joining him for the very first time on stage live. Right there. There's Killer Mike on the left, and then the red hat is LP. And they became Run the Jewels. And the rest is history, as they say.
Dun, dun, dun.
There they are. 2013. And Zach De La Rocha from Rage Against the Machine came out and joined them for a song. Unexpected. Let me see if I have that picture. I don't. But that was back in the day. Let me see if I can catch some other ones here. Toro y Moi. I don't know if you ever heard of them. Chaz Luswick is the lead singer. And it's called Toro y Moi, and he's got a bunch of stuff that he's done. They're pretty good. MIA. There's MIA. Crappy picture because I didn't want it. She was horrible live. It's Jenny
really?
Rubbish.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And here is R. Kelly. Let me zoom out. That's R. Kelly. Sorry for the bad picture. With the lighting was just making the camera look bad. We got that close to R. Kelly.
It looks like he's filleting the mic. I don't know.
Yeah, he does. Seems like you're ready. No,
you could enhance that photo and take out some of that noise reduction. You could fix that.
That's true. Yeah, we can. There you go.
Bring it down a little bit. It's too blown out. You could bring the tones down. You could.
Yeah.
It won't be perfect because a lot of the details missing, but you could.
I swear to God,
That's what I'm looking for.
What year was Cold Cave at? I swear to God, there's some pictures of them somewhere. Here's churches. Here's churches.
Yeah.
Saw them, and they were playing like at 2 p.m.
Yep.
Nobody. I mean, look at all those people there at 2 p.m. No one ever shows up for churches live, right? For that kind of gig. So that was them there.
And they're good live, right? Did you enjoy that?
They were better than I thought. I was skeptical at first.
Yeah.
And they were much, much, much better than I thought. They were very good. They were exceptional. Where is Ice Age? I've seen twice. They're okay. Panda Bear, of course. He has done stuff with Danger Mouse. They did stuff with Animal Collective and everything. But Panda Bear, he was usually doing, electronic stuff and experimental stuff. They put him on at 3:30 in the afternoon. Look at the wires and look at all the stuff that he's got hanging off the back of that thing. I don't know if you can see it or not. It looks like spaghetti, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's Panda Bear. I don't know if you've heard of Panda Bear. He's like a noted producer and.
It's familiar. I'm just trying to think. When you hear something, you're like, I'm trying. The Rolodex is going like, what do I know that? What it? Right. You're trying to think of the songs.
I'm trying to remember. X-Hex. Here's New Pornographers without. I've seen these guys like 3 times, and they're very good live. Legendary girl band Sleater Kinney. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie Brownstein and everyone. Let me blow that up here really quick. That was an outstanding set. I've seen them 3 or 4 times. They're very good. And Waxahachie, they're a band to watch out for. Hold on. I swear to... Oh, here's Courtney Barnett. She's amazing. I don't know if you guys heard of Courtney Barnett from Australia. She put on a very impressive set. There she is. She's from Australia. There she is there. She did very good. And there's me finding some House Martin records.
Stand up, stand up, stand up.
It's happy hour again.
Join the caravan of love. Do you know what the House Martin's biggest claim to fame actually is?
Happy hour. No.
They
opened for the Smiths?
No.
What?
Fatboy Slim.
Oh.
Fatboy Slim used to be in the House Martins.
See, I never knew that.
Yeah, the big DJ Fatboy Slim, like the Fatboy Slim.
Wow. Right about now.
Yes, that Fatboy Slim used to be in the House Martins.
See, I did not know that.
Well, there you go.
Nancy says the Beatles were playing state fairs in 1964. Never knew that. Frameable Faces can fix those crappy photos. There's Bow Wow Wow. Annabelle on the front cover of that album. I found that record.
Mm-hmm.
And God, where else are the other ones? Here's Zach with Run the Jewels.
Yep.
Here, Zach De La Rocha from Rage Against the Machine, Killer Mike on the left, LP on the right. By then, they were Run the Jewels. So they are together. That was a fun one. Mm-hmm. I swear to God, I had Cold Cave in here somewhere. I bloody swear it was in here.
Laura Descar, yes. He did have a video with Christopher Walken in it. You're right.
That's right. Where is it? Let's see. 2016, maybe? Oh, it's not them. Maybe if I just go through these summary pictures. Oh, here they are. Here's Cold Fave. Oh, this is Savages. Remember Savages?
Vaguely.
They were amazing. I don't even know why these guys broke up, but they were so good. Savages, Super Free Animals, they suck. Not a fan. Who are these guys? Who's this? Shamir, whatever happened to him.
They
Ooh.
suck.
They were horrible. Or he was horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible.
What would Johnny Lydon say? Rubbish.
It's rubbish, yeah. That band was all rubbish. It was total rubbish. Why can I not find, unless it's way down here? Maybe it's this one? I don't think so. Did I do 2012 Music Festival? Hold on. Here, Pitchfork.
That was the first one you did.
So there's Olivia Tremor Control. Wish I can just preview. Young Jeezy. Oh, this is ASAP Rocky. Oh my God. Whatever happened to him? I swear there was. Oh, here's the Mud. This is what happens when you get into a festival. This is Cut Copy.
That's exactly what happens.
Cut Copy at like 4:30 in the afternoon. Look at all the mud.
And it starts to stink as well.
Yes, it does. It smells like
mud and beer and
piss.
Mm.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but it smelled like urine. Yeah, and people danced in the mud. They were falling in mud. They didn't seem to care, as you can tell
like
here.
This rancid stench.
Yes.
Blech.
Yeah, not a fan, but it was fun to people watch. It was Cut Copy and whatchamacallit. I don't like them. They also, I think the Japan Droids were playing also. Let me see if I can find some Japan Droids. Ice Age again. I've seen them like 3 times. Guy jumps into this. Oh, there's Ty Segall. This is the guy that Doug and Alley show and I idolize. Ty Segall. This dude is without question one of the most creative individuals. He puts out an album every year. This guy, and the guy's got so much energy. And that's what I mentioned, I think, when you hosted the last roundtable. But Ty is amazing.
That's cool.
And I think, oh my God, who else? Chavez, they were around for a while. I don't like these guys. Beach House was very good. Matter of fact, there's Beach House's set. You ever hear of the band Beach House from New York?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's I forgot the lead singer's name. That's their playlist. And then I got on to actually seeing the gig.
Find the set list for you.
Yeah, that's the set list, and then there we go. There's Beach House. Much better. All right, I feel better. 3-piece. They're really good. If you ever they're very mellow, very chill. But if you ever have a chance to see them, check them out. Let me go to one more list here. I swear to God, they were in here. I think I did pretty much every Pitchfork. I'll try 17, and that's it. And I'm stopping. I'm going to fly through these. A lot of these don't have comments. There's me.
I wondered who that was. Was that you?
That was me performing live, yes. I didn't put any comments on who these bands are, so I guess they're all irrelevant. Anyway, I see a lot of bands. There's me again. There's all the people there. All right, I'm done with this. Anyway, I was hoping I had a picture of Cold Cave. I have them somewhere. They're probably on my old computer, is what I'm guessing.
Well, if you get yourself along to the gig on the 23rd of September, you'll be able to take yourself some new photos of them.
Good point. Good point. With that in mind, are you going to be going to any gigs in the foreseeable future? If not, are there any new artists or new bands who are going to have new releases that you know of that you're looking forward to either later this year or in 2023?
Dun dun dun! Just lay that right on me. Well, quite a lot of the stuff.
I'll start.
Quite a lot of the stuff that was postponed will be, happening later. The stuff that was cancelled for COVID, and it's taken them 2 years to actually reschedule it and all that kind of stuff. So obviously Midge is a classic example of that. So where he would normally be ending his tour in London, right?
Right.
And he's starting the tour in London. So what's happened is all the gigs that were postponed have all been postponed to 2023.
Right.
But the original London gig that was the last gig is still in situ. It never got shifted, so it's the first gig of the tour. Like it's come. So there's that kind of craziness going on. My boys are. We haven't got anything else on the books this year. They've done their party in the Palace. They've done their festival over in Northern Ireland. We probably will do something between Christmas and New Year because that's what we usually do. But that hasn't actually been put in the books yet. And trying to think off the top of my head what's happening. Obviously, Empathy Test are on the road at the moment. I think there's a plan, or there has been a plan, and I don't know if that plan's coming to fruition, but Rusty is supposed to be going to tour with Zane Griff and other former members of Visage to play the entire 2 albums back to back. I don't know when that's happening, but Zane Griff's going to do the vocals, and people like Gary Barnacle, the sax player from Spandau, and Chris Payne, the original writer, and one of Gary Newman's Tubular Army, and he was in Visage, and co-wrote quite a lot of that stuff, Fade to Grey and all that. They're all getting together, so it's almost like the original Visage people, but without Steve Strange.
Okay.
So that's on the agenda, but I don't think any
came to fruition.
I don't think any dates have been announced yet, but that's on the. I think that was always going to be a plan, but with COVID, it's been hit and miss.
Yeah.
I think that might be coming up near the end of this year or the start of next.
Wow.
I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously, pretty much everything's up in arms. All the stuff that's going to happen is stuff that's already been. It was already on the agenda before, and it's just been rescheduled. Right.
I noticed that at least in the States here, there's been kind of a after the outdoor music festival season, there's always a lull here because nobody wants to come to Chicago in November, February, that area, March for that matter. But now more than ever, you're not noticing a lot of gigs being announced for shows around November, January, February, because they're not sure where this whole COVID/cold/ whatever it is, the latest incarnation of whatever is out there, is going to happen and cause cancellation. So there's a lot of booking agents and bands and electricians and roadies who are very reluctant to commit to anything, at least as of yet. However, for Reels and Thamer, hello guys, thanks for hopping in. There are new releases that have come out. And as you know, I'm a huge fan of the new Gorillaz cut with Thundercat, the song Cracker Island, which is exceptional. So what do they do to say, here, hold my Elmhurst Brewing Company beer product and let me take it to the next level? And I'm like, sure, okay. So Gorillaz is doing their new album's dropping in February of 2023. Rumor is subsequent tour, they're going to have, like, the Gorillaz never perform live. You'll never see Damon out there. They're usually behind a big curtain, and their alter egos are moving around. Rumor has it that they're going to tour in the summer next year, nothing official, that they're going to have other artists like Thundercat and their newest collaboration, and there's Gorillaz right there. Epic.
Look, do you see the label on it?
Yes, I saw.
£1 is what I paid for that.
Drastically reduced.
Brand new.
2000 is my favorite.
No. This was bought like in one of those like bargain basement bin things. Just
it's
recently.
So it's dirt cheap, which is cool.
Don't buy CDs anymore, so they're selling them for £1.
I'm ignoring comments. Ozzy says WAAF went off the air in February, but they just had their last concert with Godsmack in 2022, and I've seen Godsmack. They are super fun live, Ozzy. And radio is so irrelevant in Chicago. It's just a complete joke. I had to borrow my wife's car one day, and it was just garbage. I mean, it was horrible. Nancy says, this is fun. Got to run. I got your fantasy football draft at 4 o'clock. Mine's on Tuesday, and I'm missing softball. I'm sacrificing undefeated ball snatchers softball for my draft. Good luck with your draft, Nancy, and thank you for sharing.
Enjoy your apple pie, Nancy.
Everyone, make sure you are following and subscribing to Nancy, a great friend over there in Lake Country in Wisconsin, about 2.5 miles or 2.5 hours due north of me. up there in Wisconsin.
I think I've got cat hair on my face from earlier. I feel itchy.
Wait, what do you got? What happened?
Cat hairs. You know, I picked up the cat earlier.
Oh, that you got cat
Right?
hairs.
So now I feel like I've got like itchy bits, cat hairs on
Yeah,
my
you're doing the missed a spot.
You hadn't finished the story about the gorillas. You were still
Oh, yeah. So basically, Gorillaz have a new song out with, of all people, ready for this, Tame Impala.
Ooh.
And it
Interesting.
kind of it threw a curveball at first. I listened to it a second time, and I love it. It dropped, I want to say, a couple of Fridays ago. And I'm trying to remember the name of the song off the top of my head. I believe it is called oh crap. It's basically 3 bands, more or less. And it was basically Tame Impala, Gorillaz, and the last but not least, it was someone by the name of Booty Brown, who I've never heard of, kind of a rapper. So it's Gorillaz, Tame Impala, and Booty Brown. The song's called New Gold. I think the single's out and about, but the album drops in February.
Nice.
That's something I really like. And there's another weird compilation involving the National. And of course, I'm a big National fan.
Mm-hmm.
And saw them a couple of months ago over at Pitchfork. And they are collaborating with, of all people, someone who I'm not a fan of, Bon Iver. And because that's just way too mellow for me. But you get the National in with Bon Iver, good things could potentially happen. And they did. Their new song that just dropped maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe a little less than that. It's called, and it's kind of a weird song. It's called Weird Goodbyes. Involves car windshields, broken glass, and some other stuff. And it's blended brilliantly. I'll just leave it at that.
I think this is something that's interesting, though, Jim. You're touching on something here. You're talking about collaborations.
Yes.
And they're much more frequent since the COVID situation.
Yes.
You know, bands not being able to work, bands not being able to get out and perform, bands not getting to, launch their albums, and they're not on tour, and they're collaborating with each other. There's a lot more of that at the moment. There are a lot of collaborations coming out, and I noticed that becoming a trend all the way through the whole sort of like lockdown situation. But it looks like it's going to continue. It looks like it's going to be a continued trend. I mean, people have always collaborated, but it's usually been quite an unusual thing, whereas there's been a lot of that, a lot of getting together and what if we do this, because obviously it's easier to do it over the internet as well now. You just send files to each other, but there's definitely been, I mean, Rusty and Boy George have just released something.
Yep. I heard that, and that one I didn't see that one coming. And there are some people who are on some other casts questioning Boy George's vocal stylings or lack thereof recently when he toured. On this track that Rusty did, Boy George sounded fine to me. I mean,
well, there's the one that's the dub mix, which sounds a lot like the previous track they released together, the Turn to Dust, that was from the Blitzed album, but actually Oscar Egan has done a remix. That's Rusty's son has done a dance remix of it, and actually it's really good as well. So for this week's mixtape, the original album version, the dub version's on that, but I'll be playing the Oscar Egan remix the following week because it's also noteworthy. It's also worth listening to. He's got a wee talent. I'm saying a wee talent. The guy's in his 20s or whatever, but he's another one to watch out for. Everybody knows Rusty, everybody knows his dad, but actually Oscar Egan's kind of behind the scenes doing quite a lot of remixing, so that's worth checking out.
Absolutely, I'm writing it down. I'm scribbling notes down.
When you see anything that says REOE mix, that's Rusty Egan, Oscar Egan mix. It's the two of them working together. So when you see REOE, that's what that is.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
I love that. I like when. And even yesterday, that Taylor Hawkins tribute over at Wembley yesterday, Taylor's son came out, and he's 13 years old, and he just raged on that kid last night. That was amazing. What a great tribute that was. I didn't see the whole thing, but I heard great things about the Taylor Hawkins tribute yesterday. Catch up in comments. We won't revisit Ozzy. We saw the Christopher Walken thing, and Ozzy says he thought Killer Mike was an ICP. No, Killer Mike is from Atlanta, Georgia, and he was a rapper, solo rapper, and then LP produced his first 2 albums, and then they joined forces to create Run the Jewels in 2013 following a gig at the Pitchfork Music Festival. They came back in 2015 to the chimes of We Are the Champions, and they've been together ever since. And then that picture I showed with Zach De La Rocha from Rage Against the Machine, with him coming out making a cameo, and Rage lead singer Zach also contributed on a couple of tracks on RTJ4. So that much better.
And breathe.
Yeah, and there's one other song I really like. I screenshot these when I hear them. The one that's a bust. I usually don't want to put any negativity on my broadcast, but the song I was disappointed in, Arctic Monkeys' new song. If you've heard it
I
yet.
haven't heard it yet, actually, but I knew they were releasing one.
Disappointing, I think, is the word. It's almost
Is
like
it?
the lead singer of Arctic Monkeys trying to be a Las Vegas crooner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, coming off of the concept album that they had out in 2018. I love the song 4 out of 5,
Mm-hmm.
which is a great song.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole theme of a hotel just kind of fell apart. Ask Dennis DeYoung from Styx that question about these concept albums and how they empower ballads and
The what now?
Styx. But the new Arctic Monkeys song, yeah,
I feel like you're going to start speed typing the concept album.
new Arctic Monkeys song is a disappointment. It's a song called There'd Better Be a Mirror Ball. And I was hoping for more. It's very melodic, very slow. It's almost like he's crooning in some kind of a lounge somewhere. And
You know what'll happen? They'll release a remix.
Yeah.
That seems to be happening. Like, you'll get something's wasting it. They're not even waiting any time. They're releasing something, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, they're releasing. I don't mean Arctic Monkeys. I mean anybody releasing anything at the moment seems to release the single.
Yeah.
And then a couple of weeks go by, and then a remix gets launched. And White Lies have just done it with As I Try Not to Fall Apart, which I loved that track, and I played it on mixtape multiple times. And then they released a dance version. I can't remember who it is that's done the remix.
Okay. Wow. Because that's a good point. I mean, I guess bands will do that, or they'll bring out a song like when U2 brought out Numb in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the song was horrible. And then all the other songs, some other songs on the album sounded better to me, and I liked them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Stay Far Away So Close and all of that. So on and so forth. But bands like White Lies can pull that off because they're good. And Arctic Monkeys.
But the remix was just. But I think that seems to be the thing. Like, because Editors have just done the same thing as well. Editors just released a single, which was a really good. In fact, they released a few, but they released a really good single, and then again, literally a couple of weeks later, some dance remix of it, bit mediocre. Then another remix by another act. And it's like, you've just ruined the song.
Yeah.
Sometimes the remix can be better than the song.
True.
Like, there's an example. I mean, I've played a lot recently. I played OMD's Almost. Now, Almost was a B-side back in 1980 on the back of like something from the Messengers, like early OMD. But for the 40th anniversary of the album, Vince Clarke from Yazoo and Erasure and Depeche Mode did a remix of it.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's amazing. It's better than the original track.
Right.
So it depends on who gets their hands on it and what they do with it,
True. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with the producer, the engineers, all of that. And once they're done laying down the tracks, they want to go back and remaster it. And while they're remastering, they're like, well, while we're in here, ... and they start.
Well, I mean, Vince Clarke's a genius. Like, pretty much everything he touches is it's hard. It's hard for it to be. I mean, again, another something that just got released. I just played it last week. Johnny Marr.
Oh my God, we got to talk about this. Yes, go ahead.
Go. You go. I know what you're going to say.
No, I mean, well, first of all, he's opening for the Killers here in the States. So that in itself that double bill is worth the price of admission.
Mm-hmm.
No question. Now, Go ahead. You're
No, on you go. I'm waiting to see what you're going to say.
Oh my God, we got to talk because I heard. I'm looking at my phone because whenever I see a song, I take a screenshot of it. Hold on. Oh, the other band I really like is Sudan Archives. Sudan Archives. I like them. A song called Selfish Soul. Give them a listen. I like them. But Johnny Marr, he did first of all, he did a cover of something that I can't remember what he did a cover of that I wasn't aware of. But the Johnny Marr song, I swear I have a picture of it somewhere. I did a screenshot. Stand by. I want to slow the process of this program down at all. I'm trying to.
So Johnny Marr released a single called Spirit, Power and Soul.
Okay.
And I played it on the 11th of August.
Right.
And it was the Vince Clarke remix of it.
Okay.
So again, Vince Clarke had remixed it.
All right. Now I'm trying to remember why was it that I'm talking about the new Yeah 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 song "Burning" is also good. I like a band called Poolside. If you like a nice instrumental song that's out new, it's called Poolside. But I swear, in this list, I'm going through my list right now of pictures and stuff, screenshots. There was a Johnny Marr. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to Spotify because I saved it.
Well, before you do that, while you're doing that, I'll talk. So this week, I was late with the submission from a radio show. It needs to be in 24 hours beforehand.
Yeah.
I had a lot going on. I was completely exhausted. I stayed up, pulled an all-nighter to do the play. Long story short, I didn't get it in on time. So they played a repeat. So what should have been mixtape there on Thursday is now going to be mixtape coming up. And on this mixtape coming up, there's a superb track by a band called Conjure One, featuring Sinead O'Connor.
Really? Wow.
And it's the anime remix. And I'll tell you, that's a cracking track. Her vocals, she still got it. I sat and listened to that, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I got all spine tingly. I was like, she's still got her voice. So there's one to listen out for. There's an exclusive for this week's up-and-coming Helen's mixtape. Conjure One and Sinead O'Connor, Tears from the Moon, it's called.
So it was the Spirit. It was your show that I heard it. That's why. And
Probably.
No, because here's what happened is it showed up on my 2002 playlist. I have if all the songs I like, they get added onto my playlist and everything like that.
2002? 2022?
I'm looking at 2002. my playlist here.
I thought we were going back to Fat Boy Slim again. Right about now.
It's time for Jimmy to go have some day drinking. And we won't go there yet because I think my wife already took off with the car. Anyway, but I have a playlist, and these are the songs I've been, quite frankly, I'm trying to see where I found it here. Yeah, so basically I mentioned Cracker Island, the new Panic at the Disco song. Christina was ripping a new one on Panic at the Disco. And there's a song called Don't Let the Light Go Out. More of a melodic song, but good lyrics. Love it. And then underneath that, Spirit, Power, and Soul, Vince Clarke, and Johnny Marr. And I'm looking at it right now. It's like a 5-minute song, and it's just it's Johnny effing Marr, you know?
Well, Johnny Marr did quite a lot of work with Hans Zimmer as well last year. He was with Hans doing stuff. Yeah. So Johnny Marr gets around, you know?
And he's
most people still know him for the Smiths, of course, but you know, the guy's
all the other side stuff, other side projects as well. I mean, God, and I'm just happy he's getting the proper exposure with the Killers. The new Killers is the
new Killers track. The Boy
is amazing. Boy is amazing.
Song.
Yes, I heard a second single or another song off of that, and I just don't remember it though. I have to give that another listen because is this true? I heard somewhere that Boy actually was the highest charting debut for the Killers ever here in the States.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Ever. I mean,
in the States, maybe. I don't know.
Bigger than
but you know what? Here's the thing, though. But there's a classic example, though. I think a lot of people didn't even realize the Killers were American because they've been so much more popular in Europe like their
Yeah.
spiritual home. They were launched here. You know,
They're from
they were taken,
Vegas.
but they were taken.
know?
They were taken under. They were taken. They were embraced here,
Right.
right? Especially in the early days, especially with the first album, right?
Yes. Yep.
They were embraced here. So
2005.
they've always been much better known and always done much better here
True.
than they have in the States. So you're
Right.
saying it might have been the highest charting single ever for the Killers in the
Yeah.
States, but it's
Yeah.
taken the fucking States 15 years to fucking click onto them.
Well, what's that? Like, that's never happened to us here in the States ever.
You know what I'm saying?
God, we're so
It
slow.
has a synthesizer in it. You can't play that on the radio in
It's
the
gotta have a
States.
guitar. Or it's gotta have somebody repeating the same lyrics over and over again. And we're so creative here in the
3 power
States.
chords. If it doesn't have 3 power chords and, you know,
Yeah,
traditional
exactly.
instrumentation, no,
Exactly.
then no. Nope.
You have to sound like Blink 182.
Boy's got eyeliner and a synthesizer. We're not playing that.
Yeah, exactly. God forbid. You know, might be good. All right. I'm
So
done
that's
ranting.
the thing of, I think a lot of people didn't realize actually that the Killers were American for a long time.
Right.
Probably until Sam's Town, actually, maybe.
Yeah, well, Sam's Town, that album didn't chart as well here in the States, but it did outstanding over in Europe and over in Australasia. It was like a chart topper there, and here it was like, okay, that album had what was it on my
all
mind?
These things it wasn't
all these things I've done and said.
Dustland Fairy Tale.
Dustland Fairy Tale.
Tale.
Here With Me.
I actually liked the Hot Fuss album, which was the first one.
Oh yeah, that had Mr. Brightside.
Smile Like You Mean It,
right. That's a great album.
Read My Mind and all that stuff.
Yep.
I think they didn't really hit peak until what's that album that had Spaceman on it and Human and all that
stuff? That was 2008. That was whatchamacallit.
I forget what the name of the album was called. I can see the album cover. Can't remember what it was called.
I mean, well, the debut was 2005 because I saw them at Lollapalooza. That was the last Lollapalooza I ever went to with my wife.
What that album was called?
2005. You're probably, I mean,
because Human was a massive hit here, and I don't know how it did. I don't know how it did in the States, but it was huge. Spaceman was on it. Losing Touch was on it. Day
and Age was 2008.
Day and Age was the name of the album. Yep.
Because Dustland Fairy Tale was one of my favorites. That was the third single. They played it on Sirius XM, but they didn't play it elsewhere, and it didn't chart as well and everything. And then obviously from there, then you had Battleborn was the album that
I really liked the Battleborn album, but it didn't seem to do as well as Day and Age.
But no, it didn't. It did horrible here. But between Day and Age and Battleborn, they did a cover of Joy Division's.
That was earlier. That was on Sawdust.
Was it? That's right.
That was on the Sawdust album, and I think that was like Sawdust was like a bunch of outtakes that they had done.
Shadowplay.
That's right.
Their cover of Shadowplay was dope. I love that song. And the bass. Oh God, I was just raging. I love that song. I have it on my phone.
I play it a lot on mixtape.
I love it. That's like a roll down.
But also, do you know what else they covered and did brilliant at covering? Right, because they nailed Shadowplay, but they also covered U2's Ultraviolet from the same album we were just talking about, actually, the same U2 album. Achtung Baby. And they nailed Ultraviolet. It sounds like their song, you know?
Right. I mean, that's
they're actually really good. They're actually really good at covers. But I love the Killers. I've always loved the Killers. But Battleborn didn't seem to do so well. And there's a track on there called Flesh and Bone.
Flesh and Bone was the first single. Here With Me, they tried to make the second single, and it just didn't go anywhere. That came out 10 years ago or something like that.
They did. They filmed that video for that. It was Tim Burton that filmed the video for it in Blackpool in England.
Nice.
Because they were on tour here.
Right.
when they were filming for the video for it.
Right.
And it had, what's her name in it? Winona Ryder in it.
Oh, nice.
But it wasn't that. It was a good video, but it wasn't that great a song.
Right. That's so wild. I mean, they're just
all the songs on the album. That was like my least favorite one, and yet they went all in on the video for it.
Yeah, but I mean, and then they had obviously The Man 2017 from the summer of 2017.
And again, The Man was a great track.
Love that
but
song.
all I could hear when I listened to it was Talking Heads.
Yeah.
All I could hear was Talking Heads. I'm trying to think what the track is, but when you listen, I can't remember what the track is, but it sounds a lot like Talking Heads. And even that track Boy that released, all I can hear is Erasure's Little Respect, because there's a loop that goes through that, and it's like, well, that sounds like Erasure. So that's what I did when I played it back to back with Erasure.
Right.
And merged the two of them into each other. There's a lot of Killer stuff sounds like a lot of other things, but the Killers would not exist without, again, Ultravox. And Muse are like that as well. Muse and the Killers.
Oh my God, the Muse, definitely. I can see where their influences. Killers for me, for some reason, maybe it's because I'm American, lose my voice. It could be the fact that maybe because some of their bigger hits they're more guitar driven, although, some of the other stuff gets more.
Their bigger hits in America were more guitar driven.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
The biggest hits here weren't.
No, you think of like across the pond, though. You think of songs like "Human." "Human" was like I love one of my favorite songs from them. Like Jenny was a friend of mine. Was guitar. That's why Jenny was a big hit here.
That's right, and it wasn't here.
Right, because it was. That crap.
Exactly.
I shouldn't say crap because I like guitars. Don't get me wrong. I like the balance.
But there's still that mentality guitar. Over there.
Yes.
It's still a thing.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
But Quiet Town was another example. Quiet Town.
I liked that song.
Yeah. I like it, but like I said, didn't. I mean, they play it here a little bit.
Quiet Town, Lonely Town. He did a track. It wasn't on a Killers album. It was on his solo album. He did a track called Lonely Town.
Brandon Flowers' solo album.
Brandon Flowers did a song called Lonely Town.
2016. It was before The Man came out.
Yeah.
And then they also did the Great Big Sled Christmas song around that time.
They also did another track on that called. There was a few. There was Lonely Town, which was a really good track, and then they did, but it's really dark lyrics in Lonely Town.
Okay.
And they did what was that other track where they sampled Small Town Boy? Change. He did a track called Change, which sampled Bronski Beat's Small Town Boy, and he did the other single on the album was, oh God, I've got COVID brain. It's season up.
But I also just realized
Can't Deny My Love. Can't Deny My Love was the other track. So those three were singles, and they were all synth led. Were all very synth orientated.
Those didn't make any impact here at all, unfortunately.
That's interesting. Really interesting. Change is a cracking track. I've played that a few times on mixtape. Lonely Town.
But Caution was big here. A couple of years ago, and that song reminds me of right before the pandemic hit, because I was literally in Arizona when I first heard that song.
Caution sounds like something that Bruce Springsteen would sing.
Yeah,
it's got that bombastic.
Yeah,
like
that Americana
sound.
Yeah,
it was a good track.
It's about vastness. It's about bigness. It's about. It had that big open airy thing going, and when I was literally the first time I heard that, I was out in the desert in Arizona with the convertible driving around.
It was a great track,
and I loved it. I always think of Arizona.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the album was called. Because they did two back to back. They did two albums right behind each other.
Imploding the Mirage.
That one, Imploding the Mirage, but they did, but they released two like within this year of each other or something. They released two right behind each other.
There was one with Quiet Town that was Pressure machine?
Yes.
Something. Hold on, let me look it up. Stand by.
See,
Hopefully.
it's different. See, those last couple of albums I haven't
Yeah.
bought physical
I
copies
just
of,
looked
right?
it up. It's
So I've
pressure.
got all of the CDs all the way right up until The Man, and I don't have any physical copies of anything after that.
Right,
So
okay.
there's something about having a physical copy in front of you that helps you remember all the
Right.
songs and when you're listening to it when
Right.
you're streaming, you
'Cause you're
you
looking at
forget.
the
That's
record.
right. So
Right.
you're not.
Yeah.
The new stuff, although I've listened to it and I've liked it or whatever, is not as embedded because I haven't taken
Right.
it out the glove box, put it in the car, read the
Right.
pamphlets. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a different experience, and people who only stream and consume music haven't experienced that tangible
Right.
thing of, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Growing up in the 70s, being an ancient 57-year-old guy, the joy of having an actual vinyl album. Like, hold on here. Hold on.
Dun,
I'll
dun,
grab a
dun.
random record album. I mean, I'll just grab here. Like this.
You grab a random, I'll grab a random.
I grabbed a random album here. I grabbed Queen the Game from 1980.
I'll grab a random, and I literally have no idea what it is. I've just grabbed a random.
Oh my
Oh, it's
God.
empathy test.
Look at that. How you got like 20 copies? That's why. No.
No, I literally just put my hand up, and I was like, okay, I'll grab a random. Go on, you show me yours. You show me yours, and I'll show you mine. Go on.
Hey, excuse me while I whip this out. Here we go. The Game from Queen from 1980.
Can you make that full screen, Jim?
All right, with pleasure. Let's see here. Let's do this. Whoop. There we go. So there's Queen the Game from 1980. Physical hard copy. I have about 500 albums in my collection here. And yeah, Mr. Twix is in there. What's up, Mr. Twix? How are you, buddy? So there's the back cover. And it's obviously from I was, a freshman in high school back in the fall of 1980. The thing that Helen was alluding to earlier is the joy of being able to take out the actual album, not only see the lyrics, but also to get to learn a little bit more of the specifics as far as where it was engineered, where it was recorded, at what time, what era, who was the producer, who was, the behind the scenes people, the liner notes, as they say. In this case, I mean, it mentions Roy Thomas Baker. It mentions, recorded June through July of 79, recorded various sessions from February 1980 in Germany. It mentions all these different people. Queen Office and International Fan Club at 46 Pembridge, London, West 11. And of course the actual sleeve is torn to crap because I played the daylights out of this album. I played Dragon Attack regularly on this album. I mean, you can see the scratches, the imperfections on the vinyl. And you can see my screen and what I'm looking at right now with the reflection off that. So it's fun to be able to do that, to be able to.
I hadn't realized that my mic gets muted when you take me off as well, so I'm
Oh
talking
crap!
along.
Sorry.
I'm like blethering away and hadn't realized that you can't hear me.
So I'll start over again.
No. All I was going to say was back in the day where you had to write to a fan club, you didn't have an artist's social media. You didn't have a DM on Instagram or a way to tweet them. You had to write to a fan club, and then someone would collect the mail, and then someone from the record label would collect the mail and make sure the artist got to read them, or maybe they didn't bother, depending on who the band were and if they wanted to read everything. Like back in the day where everything was a snail mail that was got photos on it.
Exactly.
I picked up a random, but mine's not. My sleeve doesn't. My inside doesn't have any photos.
Empathy test. I wouldn't mind having empathy.
I literally went like that, and I grabbed whatever was behind me, and it was empathy test.
You're fine. A little big money dolphin panda. We're almost done here because my wife is summoning me and past my 2-hour limit. We got fasting to do, and they got to go crafting. I'm gonna go eat. So there's show me the empathy test. Are there like lyrics?
So yeah, this has the lyrics on it. Obviously, they're back to front because my camera's back to front, of course.
Okay.
So it has lyrics on both sides.
Oh, cool.
And then this is a limited edition. Second red vinyl, which is upside down because I'm rubbish at this. So it says on the back, hang on, I'll put this away. It says on the back of the sleeve, this is the second pressing on red vinyl, Empathy Test 2020. And it tells you obviously who did what. So Empathy Test is Isaac Howlett, Adam Relf, Christina Lopez, and Oliver Marsden. All tracks written by Howlett and Relf, blah, 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 blah. And it tells you all who did what and who played what instruments and all that jazz. As most records do. You can take that full screen thing away now.
That is so cool. Yeah, hold up that. I just like the red vinyl. That must come at a premium.
Now, here's a story for you, Jim. I'm about to
Really?
tell you something. Something
Uh-oh.
you may or may not know.
Okay.
Okay.
Got that, lady.
Very first
Mhm.
colored vinyl
Mhm.
for normal records invented by Midjour. And I'll tell you what I mean by that.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
Rich kids. Rich kids. He said to the record label, because obviously kids, you had, those little things that were like, they weren't real record players, but those little plastic discs that were colored that had like the little pegs that stuck up and you'd play the thing round it, almost like a music box. And they looked
Yes.
like little mini, it was a toy record player. It wasn't real records. And
Right.
he's
Yeah.
like, if we can make colored discs for kids' toys, why can't we make colored vinyl for records?
Yeah.
Rich kids. First red vinyl.
Wow.
Look it up if you don't believe me.
I will let you right on that one. Yes, that's good to know. I mean, because we remember.
Do you see what I mean about pioneering things that people aren't even aware?
Yep. How cool is that? That is so wild. So there's your vinyl moment of history. Well, I think we should wind it up on that note. We're learning something new each and every day.
We've done a hell of a lot of blethering today, haven't we? Over just random nonsense.
That was fun. I mean, sometimes less is more, guys. I'm putting it out there right now. That was.
It would have been nice to have had Cliff with us as well. That was a bummer.
I know, right? But still, this was amazing. I had a blast doing it. We're going to do more of these, and we will have more people on. I don't know where Chris went, but maybe Lindsay next time, maybe Christina. The professor's going to be busy, but I don't think we have to wait for him. I
had hoped that by giving a month's notice and pinning down a date, I was hoping that we would have got around that busyness.
Yeah. Sundays are going to be busy there's this American football thing going on starting next week for the next day. It's like when
I love how you called it what is supposed to be called, and you called it American football.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you didn't call it football. I'm glad that you called it by its proper name.
Oh God. I would get chastised. I always say Premier League or UEFA, depending on if it's Champions League or if it's just regular football. So like yesterday morning, like at 12 noon, and then the match of the week's usually around 6:30. So usually people who hate regular like Premier League football, they'll just make dinner or something. The guys go in the other room, and they go to the pub. They start beating the crap out of each other, good-natured brawling and all that. It's just American football here. But it's fun, though. And Thursday, we'll be bringing the season premiere. You know it. We're going to be doing, with all due respects to the Blitz Club, we're calling it Twitch Blitz.
But I said that to you. I actually said that to you.
You alluded to it, the Blitz Club. I said it's just like Blitz in football, not Blitz
Club.
Did
you see me asking? I said, like, have you asked Rusty for the copyright on that?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. I'm like, no relation. This is my disclaimer to Rusty and everybody. No relation to the Blitz Club. Which leads to this question. At the Blitz Club, do they have were they able to play music videos?
Not at the Blitz, but when they moved to the Camden Palace, I believe they moved, because obviously the Blitz was a tiny, tiny little place, and then when the whole thing, when it took off and it became a thing,
right?
They moved to a place called the Camden Palace, and that was like I think one of the biggest discos in the world at that point. And they started to be able to. They
started playing videos on all the TVs in the club.
It became a massive, massive thing. Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to ask before we wind it up here, and this is just one of those things I always try to figure out because I watched old shows like Kenny Everett Video Show. And I would watch all these, videos from the UK, whether it be Scotland or Ireland or England or even in Germany for that matter, why were all the backgrounds white in the background? They didn't have like music performance. They didn't have like a regular studio. Every white backgrounds. Elvis Costello and the Attractions, white background.
Do you mean when they were performing live, or do you mean on Kenny Everett's show? Like, what do you mean white backgrounds where?
White background. In other words, like instead of seeing my green wall with the sign and with the windows, it'd be white everywhere, white.
But are you talking about are you talking about Kenny Everett's show?
Yes. No, any music video, not just Kenny Everett, but any music video from England in the late 70s, early 80s. You watch an Elvis Costello video. You watch a Human League video. You watch a before they started doing like storyline music videos. There are all these white backgrounds. They showed Nick Lowe, white background. You know, Tony's just getting out of the movies. White backgrounds. I will put together a compilation.
I'll take your word on that, but maybe because a traditional photography background is a white background.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was just cheap. You know, white backgrounds everywhere. I just have to.
Never noticed that.
White. Ooh, it's getting dark and ominous outside.
Because I know that you're talking about Kenny Everett's show, and his studio was white. Like everything.
Well, his studio was white always, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm talking actual music videos themselves.
But if it was just performers performing in a studio, they were probably in a studio that was a white studio.
Yeah, you just been white in the background.
I don't.
That'd be boring.
Do you know what? Can I just point something out? I wasn't alive at the time, so I don't know the answer to the question. I wasn't there.
I know, you weren't born yet.
I wasn't born yet.
Jim, you were just a little 15-year-old sod back then. You know. I know. Hi, Hannah. How are you? Here, look at a Visage video earlier, and the video had a white background. Thank you, Rick.
Probably, but it might have had a white background, but it was in contrast to a black sheet and black and grey makeup. So you're not going to have a black background, are you? Of course you're going to have a white background because you're going to want whatever in front of it is to be highlighted. Contrasty.
I know, but I'm just going to see if I can find... Well, the only exception would be, I'm trying to find the Pump It Up video from Elvis Costello and the Attractions, and it is white in the background.
Yeah, but Elvis Costello was always about pants. Like, I wouldn't go by him as the example.
Joe Jackson was one too. Joe Jackson videos.
I'm just totally slacking off Jim's music.
Wait. I missed it. Hold on. Stand by. Hold, please.
It was always a white background. Was it as white as my face?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Did you see that?
Hold on. I'm going to mute this audio.
Why does the camera look? It goes all
bleachy. Please. I'm going to mute this. Here we go. I think this might be a white background. Hold on. Stand by. Oh, it's not. Damn it. Hold on. Anyway, I digress. There we go.
I honestly say that I've never noticed that.
Yeah, there's a different art. It was the people and everything else was pure white. Yeah. Well, that Rick. But seriously, I think there's a number, and of course now it doesn't come to my mind now, but I swear, like we were like 15, 16 years old, music videos really weren't around yet before MTV, before 1981. But you'd watch Kenny Everett, or you'd watch something else, you know, and even like the bad music shows, like American Bandstand, and all those shows started incorporating music videos into their programs to stay relevant by the mid 80s. By then, they were just rubbish, as John Lydon would say.
Does anybody else in the chat know what he's referring to when he's talking about Kenny Everett? Do you guys know what he's referring to?
He's the first guy that ever showed music videos.
Let's just take a show of hands to see if anybody knows.
Oh, so Rick's gonna put up videos. Here we go. Let me see if I can.
Because I was going to get you to very quickly get the Kenny Everett clip that you did of Rod Stewart.
Hot Legs?
No. Hang on. Have you got another 2 minutes? Have you got another? I know you're trying to go, but have you got another couple of minutes?
I know I got martial law here, but let's see.
I promise it'll be worth it. I promise it'll be worth it. I promise.
Good handle. Moby Dick, 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 Dick. It's like the Led Zeppelin version. Hold on. I will find it. This is going to be... Why can't I not just click on this link? Hold on. No. Yeah, technical workshop going on here. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Is this going to be the? Hold
This
on.
is Kenny Everett.
Oh, there's Jukebox Jury again.
It's not Jukebox Jury,
We've
and
got to do that.
I'm hoping it's the right clip.
We've got to do that thing. That would be super fun. See here. Yeah, this is an example. Yes, here we go. But that's different because there's other things in the background.
But I want you to play this if you can.
I will share it. Stand by. Hold, please. Hold, please. Oh, I can't. Oh, crap. You know why? Because I got two different bloody things open. The chat I opened up is on the same window as my restream. And I can't share it out. Dadgummit. Hold on. Yes. Yeah, we're on martial law now. We're on critical martial law.
He's coming, Maureen. He's coming. I promise. I'm sorry. My fault.
This is a... Oh, hold on. Moby. Dick. Okay, there we go. It's like live Led Zeppelin. All right, I got an idea. Stand by. Hold, please. I'm able to pull this off. I lose you guys. It's been fun.
I'm on the edge of my seat here, waiting to see what he's going to do.
I know. Hold on. Tell me. Oh my God. I don't know what this came up from. Whoa. Hold, please. I'm gonna copy the whole thing.
I don't know if you're playing the thing that Rick gave you.
Oh, I think I got it. Hold on, I'm just copying your link to
my link. Okay, good.
I have to share the screen. Only I can share my screen is if I put it into my browser on my end.
I've got you.
And and there's me again. I don't want to be me again. I don't want to see me. I'll just show a Kenny Everett video.
See you.
I know. I don't want to see me right now. Hold on. Kenny Everett as Rod. Oh, Kenny Everett as Rod Stewart. Oh, this is hysterical.
I need you to play this. So
I will
funny.
play it. All right, I got it. Hold on. That's easy. I can just go over here and do it. Here.
It's literally less than 2 minutes long. Do you know what I mean? That's why I was like, have you got a couple of minutes?
And isn't that one where he showed up or something at the end, or he?
Yeah, that was a different clip. But this is what when I think of Kenny Everett, this is what I think of, and whenever I hear this song, this is what I see.
All right, I'm gonna. Come on, really? All right, let's try this. I'm gonna share this to my screen. God, I got so many bloody windows open. Here, hold on. Stand by, please. I'm gonna cue this back up because it's taking me 20 bloody seconds to play it. All right, here we go. Let's try that. Here we go. This should be fun. Here we go. I'll blow it up. There we go. Hey, K9.
Come on, honey, let's spend the night together. Now, hold on in before we go much further. Give me a dime so I can pull my
And that's what I think of whenever I hear that song.
That's amazing. I love that. That is too funny.
Memory. Yeah, that's what I think of.
That's hysterical. And for its time, that was so cutting edge. We were just so sterile and homogenized here in the States.
The thing is, as well, there was a lot of double entendre. There was a lot of
Yes.
sexual innuendo, a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that probably you wouldn't get away with doing or saying now.
Yeah.
And I was watching that as a little kid, and obviously not getting all the rude jokes, but I think that's
Right.
formed my sense of humor.
I'm sure your parents got a kick out of it. Your parents were probably laughing behind your back. He has no clue what he's doing, you know? So that's a great way to end the show, though. That was awesome. What memories? I mean, Kenny Everett was like one of those who inspired me as a kid to just be an original. Why be a cookie cutter just like everybody else and just be yourself and have fun doing it? So, but that is it. That's a good band name, Helium Butt. Ladies and gentlemen, Lounge Acts welcomes Helium Butt. Yeah. All right. And then, so anyway, that's it. Helen, thank you so much for jumping on the roundtable. Make sure you guys are checking out Helen's Mixtape every Thursday on 365 Radio. Follow her here on Twitch at Radio Leggy. And she promote all your other stuff while you're at it, young lady.
Well, it's easier to just go to bio.link/Radio Leggy and everything's on there, including the radio show, including the catch-up link on the Mixcloud if you miss it live, and all the other socially stuff. It's all on the bio link.
Right on. Excellent. Helen, thank you so much for hanging out. And everybody in this chat, thank you for joining us here this afternoon / this evening. We'll see you Wednesday next to the Fire Pit, Catalyst, 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific over most of this Twitch network. So on behalf of Helen, this is Jim from the northwest suburbs of Chicago, bidding you a very pleasant good afternoon, or in Helen's case, a pleasant good evening. Take care, guys.
Thanks for keeping us company.